So this is my new studio in downtown Toronto. And if you see my other studio video, that studio is in Hamilton. And we moved at the end of June back to my hometown of Toronto. And we're right downtown, the old town part of Toronto. And it's got huge windows that are floor to second story ceiling. That's a school down there. And yeah, I'm very happy with our move. Does mean that I have a smaller studio space, but that's okay. I've managed to really organize everything, and everything is at my fingertips because where else would it be? But it works, and it works a lot better even than my bigger space back in Hamilton. So let's just go through things. I still have my cart, but I'm using it less and less than I was. I have more of the things that I normally had on the cart, like my watercolor brushes over there. I have them on the shelf right in front of me now, rather than having to pull the cart around all the time. There's the watercolor box that I have that it turns into an easel for the desk, but I don't use that much, so that goes in there. And then I have this, you've probably seen them, IKEA does these bulletin boards, I guess. Not really pegboards. They're plastic, which I didn't realize at first. I bought some in Hamilton. I don't know why I thought they were metal, but I did, so I thought, oh, I'll get magnets for it. But that's okay. And so I have staplers. I'm trying to keep as much off the table as possible. I couldn't do anything about the pencils because that just works so well there. So it's kind of away from my working area and cutting area, but it's close enough, and I can always move it closer if I need to. So I also have my Japanese eraser collection scattered around. And then I have some plants in the little holders that you buy from IKEA. And there's another really good eraser there. And then I have my hairdryer for speeding things up. My scissors are really close by. Headphones, my glasses. A friend from Skulls and Broken Hearts made that for me for last Christmas. I have my crazy clock still. Brush to sweep things up. Washi tape, other tapes, and my water container. Been around for a long time. Coffee cup, not always there. What else? So there's all the brushes. These are pens and pencils that I use most often, and I have a little ruler there, and I have a measure there, so that's great. Another plant, and then in here is my Shinola notebook, and then I have all the different charts for different companies and dot cards that I've got during workshops and things like that, so I can easily refer and see. I've marked what I have and what I don't have, so I know that it'll stop me from buying more things, although it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes I double up by accident. So more pens, more plants, artwork that I did, commissioned. some things for wiping screens and Oxgall there. I have my new color 2s in this box and all my watercolor markers here. Regular markers are here. These are alcohol based, these big ones. And then I have the Stabilo, which I really love. They're 88 brand. So those are all in there because I use those quite a bit. And then the Faber-Castell Artist Pit Pens in brush. So they go there. And apparently markers should be kept horizontally. I had the watercolor markers in one of these, but I'm finding that they were drying out, so I was glad to put them like that. Then I have an old pair of glasses that I have to find somewhere to donate them to, and I have my travel things like this Faber-Castell pop-up water bowl, and then my travel brushes are in here. This is a little pocket that I made, and then I carry my water in that. I have some other brush pens that I like to take when I'm sketching. Another plant that's not doing too well, and I really can't remember where I bought that, but it was recently, and it's looking pretty sad and crispy. And that's my first SLR camera that I got when I was in high school. It's a K1000 Pentax, and the thing was built like a truck. It was fantastic. I still have it, but I don't really use it anymore. And then, although I do still do film, but not as much as I used to. And there's my acrylic brushes, oil brushes, whole tub of pens, little mannequin that I got when I was in high school too. I think I got that in England. My printer's up here because I don't use it that much. When I'm doing a lot of printing, I can move it down to the desk, but otherwise I just want to keep it out of the way. I had to put this here because I can print from the computer anywhere in the condo, and I was finding that the sheets were flying out of here and landing somewhere on the floor, so I thought I better put this extension thing on. Then another camera, that's a license plate that my dad collected and gave to me. I have a tin here, whiskey tin of bulldog clips, my sketchbooks, and this is a book that I keep for swatching out handmade watercolors that I make and writing down all of the recipe for it. And there's a binder with all the swatches for for any watercolors that I have or pencils. I swatch them out and keep them in that binder. More sketchbooks. This is my travel, and I'll have a video up of what I take on for traveling, even just in the city. Can't really travel right now, but that I'll put up in the cards up above. And this is a pen case that I had a leather maker make for me last year, and I was selling them, but I'm not anymore. And then my initials, paint making, these boxes, I think 2 of them are empty, but one of them's crammed full of stuff. We have another little mannequin, it's a cat. There's acrylics up there and also some pigments. And then this box has more pigments, and the top drawer has all my spare tubes of watercolor. So that's basically it for above. And I have 2 cutting mats, one here and one below. And then I have another medium-sized one and also a small one on the cart. So, and then I have, this is a a cutter, paper cutter. I have to get sharpened because it's way too dull right now. I've got my footrests. I've got that box back there, has all the handmade watercolor that I make. My huge printer, Epson printer. I have to figure out how to make that work again because the print heads got clogged, and they do that when you don't use it enough. And I was lucky in Hamilton to have the library where I could print things out, and they had a huge large format printer, but there's nothing like that here in Toronto, so through the library system. I have my cork desktopper, which I needed in my old studio because I had a glass desk and it would get really cold in the winter time, so I had that. And then I have holders up for things in tubes. That's a whole tube of watercolor paper, and those are backgrounds that I use for photography. I have a tiny little bulletin board and another license plate from my dad, and framed photo of a friend that I lost, and a little Huey thing, a little Philips Hue thing that the light is in different colors. And then I still have this. It got pretty trashed in the move, so some drawers don't open very well. And I haven't organized them as well as I should have. I just wanted to get things put away when we first moved in, and I've been kind of changing things up little by little for like seeing what really works for me. So there's that drawer. This drawer has watercolor palettes, and then this one has watercolor palettes too, and little sponges and stuff. And that's one of the drawers that doesn't fit back properly. These are the tins for my watercolors. And this is all cables and stuff like that. Battery chargers, that sort of thing. My thank you postcards and half pans, tree hole punch, and then all my computer stuff is in here. So I have scanner, I have my Wacom tablet here, hard drives, and then I have my palettes. This drawer is usually where I would store finished work, so I'm not sure. I don't have anything that hasn't been posted yet. These are, whoops, this is photo paper under here. So that's the only drawer that I have, is a really big drawer. So, and then I have pencils and empty pencil containers in there. And all my oil pastels are in here, plus my labels for my business. And then the bottom is more large watercolor paper and my portfolio. Moving to the other Alex. And these two I had in my old studio. More watercolor paper. And this is more other paper, plus my glass mixing palette for doing watercolor making, and business cards. And then in here, I'm just trying to poke out, are some things I use for mailing, and then more. I think this one's full of prints that I've from my photography, and another box of photo paper. These are all pastels that I have. So the Stabilo and the Faber-Castell, Royal Talons, and odds and ends of things. Then I have inks in this drawer and watercolor pencils, including in here some Museum Aquarelle by Karen Dash. That's in there. And then all my kind of sewing supplies, not very well organized, just thrown in there. And in here, yet more watercolor paper, but smaller. This is more stuff that I use for mailing, more business cards, and more paper. And then I think these are empty. And then I have one of those Stay Wet palettes and the box where I usually store my handmade watercolor to dry. And there's some pigments. These are all from Cama in Montreal. And then some bigger ones here, some Jackson pigments. And this is the gouache drawer. So I have some loose ones in here, but just in stock, and Holbein, and one of those Hemi jelly pack ones. Now here's a drawer that didn't do well in the move as well. And then this is more, this one's an empty box because I have those over there, but then I have other watercolor pens and the Derwent graphic tints and tinted charcoals, and I also have their ink tints palettes in here, and then also my Gansai Japanese watercolors. And in the bottom I have my oil paints and my new jelly printing plate and brayer that I haven't even taken out of the package yet because I haven't had time. So moving on. So that was bought specifically for here so that I'd have more storage space. And then this was here. So I have to share it with my husband, but I get a lot of it. So there's my sewing machine, some more photo paper, and back there are puff envelopes for mailing my watercolor and my camera. And then these things are jewelry stands that I'm gonna give to a friend. More notebooks up there. I just shove those there because I don't know what to do with them. And those are panels and canvases up there. And then down here are just binders, portfolios I need shared with my husband's pants. And that one doesn't want to close. That's his pants, his sweaters. I don't really care about that. This is a hot mess right now. It's all of my bits and pieces of photography equipment, and I really have to do something about this. And then this is all my acrylic paints that aren't up on that shelf. So those are down there, and again, would like to organize that a bit more. That's my camera case and travel tripod. In here is my bigger tripod and my lighting equipment, or part of my lighting equipment. I think, oh, you know what? I'm not sure where the lights are. They're either in the stairs right now or they're at my parents' place. And then just more camera equipment and computer equipment. All my lenses are in here. This is a big 150-500 lens. And below that are my husband's shirts, which you won't really care about. So then on the back of the door, I have a travel tube that I used to use a lot more when I was picking up prints. And I have some extra paper here. I have another mailing tube full of decorative paper and my really old apron that I used to wear when I worked at the museum and still use. So that's about it. Pretty happy with the whole thing. Zoe's pretty happy with being able to just sleep here all day while I work. And yeah, so that's about it. It's nice being back in the city. It's nice having so many things to sketch, which I was doing this morning. And I think this is gonna work. I was a little nervous about, I'd measured everything and laid it all out in my mind, but you never know when you get into a space if it's gonna work or not visually and physically, so I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out and the way the rest of the apartment's turned out. So there you go. There's my little studio. Thanks very much.